Hi, welcome to episode 7 of the Finding Magic podcast, the Insight series. I'm Vincent, your host, and today's topic is snakes and ladders. And when I was a kid, I was the eldest of the family, and my grandmother wanted to help look after us kids, and so it was usually me that was handed off to her, and I would love to go to her apartment just up the road. And one of the games that she had that I used to love was snakes and ladders. Now, I know most of you have played this, but just to set the baseline, you have a board that is 10 by 10. And across the bottom of the board are squares numbered 1 to 10. And if you go to square 10 and go up 1, that's 11. And if you go back over to the left, you get 11 to 20. So it's a board with 100 squares, and the idea is to get to the end. So far, so good. You throw a dice, you move a counter. But the board has ladders, and if you get to the bottom of a ladder, if you land on that, you can go up and take a shortcut. And it also has snakes, and if you land on a snake, you slither down the snake and end up way back, and in one or two cases, back where you started. And never, when I was playing this game, did it occur to me that it was such a wonderful metaphor for life. Now, when I went through corporate world, I used to be a project manager in IT. And the way a project manager looks at creating an end result is to define every step by step, so you know all the steps that you've got to go through to get to your end result. And a project manager is not stupid. We all know that there are snakes there, and I'm going to call these the level 1 of snakes. And in project management terms, we use the word risks. And we know that we ask the old question that Jeremy Clarkson used to ask on Top Gear: what could possibly go wrong? And those are the risks. And then for every risk, we ask, is it very likely? And if it happens, what will be the impact? And then we devise an approach to that risk based on that. We could choose to avoid a risk. So perhaps in making something out of steel, and rust would be a risk. And so we could avoid it altogether. We could use a different material that does not corrode. That's avoiding a risk. We could use plastic, we could use stainless steel, we could use aluminium, something like that. We could make a risk, we could reduce a risk, and that can happen in one of two ways. We can make it less likely. So if we have a dangerous piece of equipment to use, or a potentially dangerous piece of equipment to use, we can train people to use it properly and safely and put up guards and so on, and perhaps even have a specific area where they can use that equipment so that it becomes much less likely that there'll be a risk. And, we can say, well, perhaps this will happen anyway, and we'll put in some kind of protection in case it does. Now, most cars these days have seat belts and a crumple zone. You're hoping that you don't ever get in a head-on collision or crash into a tree or anything like that. But if you do, then those things will make sure that the impact, they'll wreck the car, but you will be a lot safer inside there. So that's reducing the impact of a risk. We can also transfer a risk, make it somebody else's problem. That's what happens when we take out insurance. But we can also put it into the negotiations for a contract and give the other party the responsibility for coping if a certain eventuality happens. And we can just say, well, we'll accept the risk, and if it happens, then we'll deal with it then. So that's how we deal with risks, and like I said, I call them the level 1 snakes. They're things that we know about, things that we're conscious about, things that we take actions about. And then there are level 2 snakes. So as a project manager working in the 20-teens, I never saw anything like a pandemic listed on a risk register, but boy, it had major impacts on a lot of projects. And we often call these snakes acts of God. They're very infrequent, they're uncommon. They can have major severe impacts. You know, we had COVID in 2020, but we also had the Spanish flu in 1918 that I believe killed more people than all the combat in World War I. We had the Great Plague of London, the Black Death that decimated Europe. So pandemics happen from time to time. Earthquakes happen, volcanoes happen. Perhaps they're acts of God, but they're there and they're more snakes. And then there's what I call the level 3 risks. And these are the most insidious because they're risks on the inside. They're about how we sabotage ourselves and how we sabotage our relationships, our team. They're not usually seen if you're working on a project in corporate, but if you're working on a project for yourself, you will most certainly come across that. You'll come across it as well in corporate, but you won't recognise it as much. But it's really important to catch these when you're working on your own and creating something, particularly one of your on-purpose creations. And what is really good to do here is to get a coach. A coach will be expert at looking for these internal risks, these places of sabotage. You know, we call it the unconscious because we're unconscious of it. We can't see it ourselves, and a coach can and give us that reflection. So it's places that we're derailing ourselves and making things go off track, but it can also, a coach can also help you see places where you have missed an opportunity or screened it out. Missed is where you just don't see it at all, even though it's staring you in the face. Screening out is where you see it, but then you say, oh no, I couldn't do that. I don't have the skills, I don't have the energy, I don't have the capacity to deal with that opportunity. And very often when we're focused on a particular plan, we're so focused on this is how we're going to do it that we miss these opportunities. So that's another way a coach can help. So coaches help by avoiding, mitigating obstacles, getting you through them, getting you through what's going on inside, helping you see the opportunities. What a super coach can do is help you find the ladders in the game. The synchronicities, the coincidences, the unlooked for opportunities and so-called good fortune that is out there when you start working on a purpose-driven project from your higher consciousness. And this magic, it does show up particularly when you're working on a purpose-driven end result. And it also shows up in particular when you create structural tension. Now, what's structural tension? It's a structure in consciousness, and it's the difference in potential between where your end result is, what you're going for, and where you're at now. And paradoxically, the greater the tension, the more effort that appears that you need to put in to get to that end result, the greater the opportunity for magic. And magic comes because it's aligned with the universe and how the universe is, its beingness. It's not like the universe has a conscious intention that says, I will go and we'll help Vincent out now because he's asked for it, like a prayer. But it's because the universe is always looking for ways to create, to expand, to grow. And so this is when magic comes in. Now you still have to take action. In Snakes and Ladders, you have to roll the dice and you have to try and move along, and it's all very luck-based and random, but you're hoping to hit that ladder. Although, from time to time, I've even done this, but I've seen people throw dice intentionally and get what they want. We're looking for the ladders, we're looking for the shortcuts, we're looking for the magic. And a coach will... we're looking for a magic, so we have to take action to get moving. But while we, at one level, we're moving across 10 and up 1 and across another 10, what we're really after is keeping our eyes open for the ladders and trying to hit them when they come through and see them when they come through. Now, magic's not predictable. We can't say exactly when in time or space it's going to come, but we know it's there, and so we have to be open to it. We have to have our eyes open, our senses open, and a coach will help us see the magic when it comes through. So that's how life resembles a game of Snakes and Ladders. Remember, you can only see the ladders if you learn to use your intuition and you open up. And if you'd like to learn how to develop the use of your intuition, and it is a skill, it's like riding a bicycle, you'll need some help at first, but you'll get it pretty quick. If you're interested, I'll be co-facilitating a training along with Tess and Leah, my collaborators in the Academy of Intuitive Mastery. And this training will guide you through intuition to creating your heart vision, creating choices and end results for your life that are driven from your higher consciousness. It also includes training in structured intuition, all the basic skills that you'll need to get the most out of your heart vision. You'll find the details on my website, vincentgmelling.com/events, and I'll pop that link in the podcast description as well. So that's it for today. Thanks for listening. I hope to connect with you down the track, whether it's in a training, whether it's through meeting you one way or another, or whether it's just on social media, somewhere like that, messaging. And wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a wonderful day or a wonderful evening and night.